Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Brass Junkies. I am your host, Andrew Hitz, and today's episode is being co-hosted. I keep doing this. I just went into the TEM intro. So I'm supposed to acknowledge that, Lance, you're also hosting, aren't you?
I thought I was. Did I miss a memo? I thought I was doing a good job. Jim Nova mad? Did he write to you or something?
Yeah, exactly. Jim Nova, who is probably the podcast's biggest fan, and he said you need to get Lance out of there.
Done with him.
Your Rex Richardson impersonation really offended him. So
if I didn't have a cold, I'd do it right now. But if I do it right now, I won't be able to talk for a week.
Yeah, there is that. So
that's all I got. I'm not doing more than that.
So, Lance, how are you this evening?
Well, now I'm feeling insecure.
I do love the fact that we have a podcast where I can completely botch the very first 5 seconds, and it doesn't even cross my mind that we could or should just start over.
That's from being on stage for how long? You just keep going.
Yeah, you just keep that mouth moving. If you stop talking, it gets awkward fast. So today's episode, we were joined for a conversation with Amy Horn, which I thought was great. She was in the Marine Band for 29 years. She has played with a ton of orchestras. She started this really cool horn thing that you're going to hear all about in the D.C. area. She was in I won't spoil the surprise. At the very end, we found out about a big major job that she had in the Marine Band that we had absolutely no idea.
But the story of her Marine Band audition is like unbelievable.
She's
like so nonchalant about the whole thing.
That's a good one. Yeah, put it this way. Those of you who travel a couple of days before the audition to acclimate to the time zone and all that, you're doing it wrong. So,
to make sure my heavy caps get to the right barometric pressure.
Well, if your heavy caps are really that heavy, you have to actually check them under the plane in their own bag. So you have to, you got to make sure that the airlines don't lose them. So, or else suddenly, Heldenleben doesn't work. So,
well, I had them frozen. I mean, the cryogenically, like they're all aligned. Everything's aligned now.
In the same place that Ted Williams' head is frozen in Phoenix.
And Disney. So it's very cool. I mean, I don't like to brag, but I mean, I was, I was invited to that audition.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, anyway, now that we've made fun of, it could be any instrument. No,
it could be any trumpet instrument.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, I don't know if you saw on the Facebook, I reposted my guide to personality type as it relates to musical register. And it's getting, I'm going to have to post it as a blog post so that it's more searchable. But the basic thesis is that the higher you play in the staff or sing, the more uptight you are, and the lower in the staff you are, the better the party. And the comments seem to bear that out.
You're making my point. We are going to have Trent Austin on the podcast sometime, who is an incredible trumpet maker. He's an infuriatingly good trumpet player, but he can actually he's a big equipment head, but he plays his ass off. And so he can actually defend the heavy valve cap thing and can even go into the physics behind it and all that. But he's also really good at both taking crap and dishing out crap. So he's a good dude. So we need to have him on the podcast. That'd be fun. There'd be bullets flying in every direction. So since he is our sworn enemy. He's a trumpet player who talks about equipment all day long. But then he blows our stereotype up because he's cool as hell and he plays his ass off. So it would box us into a corner, which it would be fun to just pretend like we weren't in. So, I think that's a date. So, So unless he's got something better to do than be on our crappy podcast, then we can do that. So
not possible.
Why don't you tell the beautiful people here and the non-beautiful people too? Music schools really don't care if you're pretty or not, whether or good looking in any way. Why don't you tell the beautiful people about Duquesne?
Greetings, people of all types, beautiful and not. I want to tell you about Duquesne University, the Mary Papert School of Music. Here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, it's a fantastic music school and program. Most of the brass faculty are members of the Pittsburgh Symphony, plus me. And there's a bunch of great groups. In fact, I did a couple master classes 2 and 3 weeks ago about how to form a brass chamber group and live indoors and eat food off of it. And one of the only requirements was that they weren't allowed to put a brass quintet together, which delighted me. But anyway, you can find out more about the great program at the Mary Papert School of Music at Duquesne University by clicking on the link below. And thanks to Jim Nova for helping get that set up. He's the brass area coordinator, Grand Poobah, Grand Emperor, Tauntaun King.
Tauntaun King.
Uh-huh.
So we would also like to thank Parker Mouthpieces for providing our hosting. Parker Mouthpieces offers fine customizable component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Andrew Hitz Artist Model tuba mouthpiece and the somewhat overrated but still usable Lance LaDuke Model euphonium mouthpiece.
What?
Find out more at parkermouthpieces.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Twitter.
Actually, Mr. Michael Parker just got home today. He's been on the road with Rodney Marsalis and Jens Lindemann, and right.
Wow.
So, he sent me a photo of him and Jens smoking cigars at like 2 a.m. It was the two of them on a bench, and my response back was, "Who's the old dude?"
Were they doing like a Magic Mike tribute?
Which, I got. The best was the response I got back to the text, which I will just say, which my text of "Who's the old dude" was met with a photo response from Jens.
Oh, wow. Did he wave at you with one of his?
He did. Yeah. He gave me a thumbs up, and it was a very encouraging. Like, that was funny. You should keep that line of attack up there, Andrew. So, well, I think you're going to really like this conversation.
Hey,
with
but what
Amy.
if you were listening to this on iTunes? Is there anything that you should do?
They should leave a rating and a review. Would be awesome. If you want to help the podcast, there's 2 ways that would be super helpful.
What?
3 ways. One would be to subscribe to the podcast. That's very, very helpful to us, so you don't miss any episodes. You can do that through iTunes. You can do that through your favorite podcast app. You can also leave a rating and a review on iTunes, which takes a little bit more effort, but is very helpful in people finding the podcast. A lot of people find the also listen to function through iTunes and through other podcasts, and so it helps all of those algorithms. The more reviews there are, the better. And then the last way, which is our favorite way, is the people who financially support us through a small contribution per episode. It can be as little as $1 per episode, which you can do at patreon.com/The Brass Junkies. Or is it Brass Junkies?
I always forget. That's why I never say it. I think it's The Brass Junkies.
That's why, if you just search, you can also just go to pedalnotemedia.com and then click on support the shows. And we just got another patron, which we're very thankful. I think we're up just over $80 per episode, and it really means a lot. We have a lot of expenses that are ongoing costs, and so it helps us with all of those. So. All right, without further ado, let us get to our conversation with horn player Amy Horn. And today on the Brass Junkies, we are joined by an incredible horn player and a teacher and just an overall badass, Amy Horn. How are you, Amy?
I'm very good. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Sure.
You've got much better things to do than talk to Lance and I, so we're happy you've joined us.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm excited to talk about all the stuff that I've been doing since I retired from the Marine Band. Wait,
you were in the Marine Band?
Yes, I was in the Marine Band, for 29 years. Yeah, for 29 years, and so I was very happy. It was an easy transition because I was doing so much while I was in the Marine Band. on the outside doing a lot of different things. And so it was kind of a nice segue to come out into the civilian world and continue what I'd been doing and doing more of it. So even though the Marine Band was an amazing job, and they have a horn opening December, there's an audition for the French horn. It's an amazing job. You have to show up. You don't have to pay anything to sign up to audition. And you just have to be under 34, which none of us probably are anymore. Right?
I just turned 50.
Yeah, Lance just turned 50. He's officially on the back nine. But anyway, Lance, were you ever in the military?
It seems like I think I
did. You make it? Did you make it 29 years?
I did not make it 29 years.
Wait,
did you make it 29 months?
I did make it 29 months. That's true. I did.
Yeah.
I wasn't. So Amy, we were in at the same time for sure. I was in from 91 to 98 in the
Which band?
United States Air Force Band.
You guys were amazing. When I got into the Marine Band in 1987, the Air Force Band, I just remember that the horns in there, the music you guys played, the arrangements, you were doing classical arrangements of pieces for band, and I was so jealous of the brass section. It was just an amazing group.
That horn section was great.
Yeah. And so Kyle Perry.
That's
Kyle
right.
Perry. Yeah.
Right.
So really idolized him. Played one of my first outside gigs with him, offstage horns with Mahler Second with the National Symphony, and I couldn't play high C's. He took over all the high notes, and I was like, hanging by my fingernails and following him. So wonderful man.
Phil Munns was in. He's in the Baltimore Symphony, and Sam Compton, who played in Memphis for a while, and that was just
Sam Compton,
crazy.
yeah. And Phil Munns, when Phil Munns won the Baltimore Symphony job, I just remember that at the time, I don't know where I was in my career, but it was like nobody had ever gotten out of a military band and gotten a symphony job, at least in the horns. For me, that I knew in the time that I had been in, nobody was able to get out and get another job. So the fact that he won that job while he was still in the Air Force Band, I just thought that was amazing. Of course, I didn't do that. I couldn't get out. I had to stay with the Marine Band, so which wasn't a bad thing, but I tried a few times.
Taga did it.
Now wait a second. But that was later on. Then it started to be a lot of the trumpet players were doing it. But my mother said, I got disappointed after the first 4 years, and I did several auditions, and she said, you know what, Amy, you have to bloom where you're planted.
Whoa.
Yes. And I have lived by that motto, bloom where you're planted. I think it's Irma Bombeck. I think that's an Irma Bombeck thing.
I mean, I knew that, but
you did?
Yeah, no.
Andrew, do you know who Irma Bombeck was?
Yeah, she is the person who said that awesome.
That's what I thought.
I'm dating myself. Yeah,
I have no idea.
She was a columnist. She was.
Yes.
Oh yeah, for the Washington Post or the New York Times or the.
Yeah. I don't know. She had books too. She wrote books too, but it was always good feeling. It was always the things that were feel good stories. Like Reader's Digest.
He hadn't never heard of that either.
Yeah, I have heard of Reader's Digest.
It's like Twitter, but longer.
I know Reader's Digest.
Not much longer. It's getting smaller and smaller. My mom has it on the edge of the bathtub, and it's gotten thinner and thinner and thinner.
Wait, what are we talking about? What I know Reader's Digest because that's an exit off of the Sawmill Parkway. So. But Jeff Strong's another one, right? I know that he's another one of them.
That's way later. John Hagstrom is one of the first people that they got. And also, I'm trying to think of, it's been to the trombone player that's down in Baylor. Yeah, okay. So yeah, but Hagstrom was the first one that really in the Marine Band.
I guess I never knew that he came from the Marine Band. There you go.
Yeah.
Well who knew? Probably everyone listening.
Well, and you were in during the period when Mike Coburn left music and became a conductor.
That's right, and I remember him warming up and with the newspaper in front of him. So he had reached the point. He had reached the point.
Were you in the men's room?
No, that's not what he was. He doesn't listen to this podcast, I hope, right?
No, it's not like he's been a guest or anything like that. Yeah,
he's a buddy.
I don't think they have the internet in Indiana, so it's fine. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was in Vermont. Yeah.
Well, summers. Yeah. He's like he's a big one now.
He's doing well. Yeah. He rides his bike to work now. He's a college professor. He has transitioned wonderfully. I idealize that.
Stuff. Does he?
Yeah,
does he have a beard?
Amazing. No, I don't think so. But he's definitely living the life now.
No beard. I saw him over the summer.
Yeah.
No beard. He's got a big pink basket on his bike. And
and a dog. And a dog.
And he's got like a clothespin with a baseball card that makes it sound like a motorcycle when he rides really fast.
Yeah, and a wonderful home, and on a tree-lined street with sidewalks and green grass and no traffic. That's the best part.
Just like DC.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
just like DC. So what year did you get in?
1987.
1987.
November of 1987, and I couldn't wait to work. I was so excited when I got in, and it was November, and it took forever to get shoes, men's shoes, because they didn't have men's shoes, and just to get the uniform took forever. So I don't think I started working until like February of 1988. So in the meantime, I got a job at Montgomery Ward selling portrait. You call up people and say, "Would you like your portrait taken?" For Christmas. So that's what I did, because it took a long time to get the uniform to be able to do ceremonies and such. So.
Wow. So you should have some good Pat Sheridan stories.
Oh, those are my
Sheridan. I went on tour with Pat Sheridan, and we had more fun dancing. I had fun dancing with him. But it was all about him, Even the dancing was all about him, but we had a good time. It was fun. Pat Sheridan.
So Montgomery Ward, I'm backing up. Montgomery Ward was from my hometown, Niles, Michigan. Thank you very much. Back to our regularly scheduled story already in progress. So,
cool story, man.
Why were you dancing?
Because we were on tour, and that's what you did. After the concert, you would go out and you'd go to the bar, and that's what I remember.
Denny's
dancing with him. No,
Waffle House.
A bar. That was I want to say it was my first tour, 1989 West Coast tour, and I was single, and he was single, but it was all about him. It was all about him.
Well, what I wanted to ask
the dancing,
So where
it was just fun, friends. We were friends.
So this is the 80s. Were you breakdancing?
No. Have you ever seen Pat Sheridan dance? Wait a second. Have you seen Pat Sheridan dance?
Yes.
It's not. I don't know what it is, but it's not breakdancing, and it's a little crazy.
Things get broken, but I don't know if it's.
It kind of looks like he's getting electrocuted, but but it's cool,
fun.
Though.
It was fun.
Don't
I have
taste
good
me,
memories
bro.
of Pat.
Don't taste me.
Don't tease me, bro. Hey, that taser incident happened at the University of Florida, who happened to break Tennessee's heart last night, which made me very happy. So,
is this a commercial?
Did you dance?
No, I did dance. I absolutely danced. I was in a very, very good mood. So, go Gators. Anyways,
what the hell are we talking about?
We were talking about Pat Sheridan getting electrocuted and about a football game. So, and who are we talking? Amy Horn is the one who's on the line here. So, who is it? Yeah, that's right. Amy. What do you miss about being in the Marine Band?
Of course, the musicians, because amazing players. But the thing is, I'm still playing with a lot of them on freelancing. So they managed to take leave and play outside jobs. So I just got done playing with the Washington Symphonic Brass. We just did a concert at Fourth Presbyterian with Doug Mears, and it was in honor of, it was British music, and it was a bunch of the people from the Marine Band. So I don't feel like, I still get to play with them enough that it's wonderful. So, but that's amazing brass playing. So I miss the players, and I miss having a regular schedule of practicing, because that's what I'm noticing, that, I need somebody to say, you know what, you have something coming up, you need to practice. So I'm enjoying my time off.
How long have you been out?
January.
Wow, that's right. I forgot that it was that recent.
Actually, it was December, but January was the official date. Yeah, it's been fun.
So you're teaching at George Mason and playing with the Washington Symphonic Brass. What else are you doing, or is that kind of sum it up?
No, oh my gosh, no. So my husband is like, "What are you doing?" So I freelance in the area, but I teach privately, and I teach at George Mason, but I also teach at the Washington Conservatory of Music. I play with the American Pops Orchestra. We just had a great concert last night at the Arena Stage. It was Aretha Franklin music. So they do pop music stuff and just amazing singers from Broadway. Anyhow, so that's a lot of fun. Very unhorn-like. And I play with the Alexandria Symphony. And but this Washington Conservatory of Music, they have an amateur orchestra. Then they meet at Westmoreland downtown, this amateur orchestra. And they also have teaching space at Glen Echo Park, which is an old amusement park that's been taken over by the National Park Service. Are you familiar with it off of MacArthur Boulevard?
I'm not.
They have when I came into town, it was kind of run down. They had a carousel, and they have a lot of the stuff that's still preserved there. They have a arcade area that has been turned into studios, and that's where the Washington Conservatory of Music has one of their studios, but there's other things there. They also have art classes. They have these little huts where they have art classes, so there's a lot of stuff going on there. But somebody on Facebook, some of the local people on the Capitol Horn Club page were putting up about, we should get more people together to have horn choirs and stuff like that. And just for fun of it, when I'm driving around the Beltway, which when I go to George Mason, it takes me an hour. So I don't have the radio going. I sit and I daydream while I'm driving. I come up with all these crazy plans. That's when I do my best thinking. And all of a sudden it hit me that, oh my gosh, Glen Echo Park needs a horn choir there. They need like a horn choir that when people think of Glen Echo Park, they think of French horns. And so I started the Capitol Horns, and I used the Capitol Horn Club Facebook page to get out the word, hey, we're starting this choir at Glen Echo Park under the Washington Conservatory of Music, their umbrella. We're using their space, and they're helping us get performances. And so we started this horn choir, and the first group we got together the second and fourth Sunday of the month. It's just in the evening from 7 to 8:30, and it's if you have a horn, if you can, if the valves still move and you kind of remember your fingerings and you kind of read music, you're welcome. And it's all ages and abilities. And the first meeting we had 26 horn players.
Wow.
Mostly adults, so it was really exciting. And since then, it's been about 15 in that range. So we had our first performance September 2nd there at Glen Echo Park, and then we played again on September 7th on they have a summer concert series. And it's just been a lot of fun, but I'm just copying buying music, borrowing music, horn choir music, because, the horn choir has been around for a long time. So, and horns, when we get together, it's a lot of fun. So it's really been awesome. So I'm hoping that we're going to keep going. And we've got some dates set up for Christmas holiday concerts at Glen Echo Park, and then maybe another one up in Montgomery County. And then I hope to just continue with it. It's fun, and I feel like I'm doing something good for people that want to keep playing the horn, so that aren't doing it for a living.
Wow. Well,
yeah,
that's
it's been great. Yeah, it's been fun. I don't know how I stepped into it, but now I did. So I know you have like an entrepreneurial podcast too.
I do.
Alex,
the Entrepreneurial Musician.
Yeah. So, that's what I felt like, I just started this, you put the time in to do it and advertise, and it was fun doing videos for it. I don't know if you saw any of the videos on the Capitol Horn Club, but I had a lot of fun doing the videos, so it was.
Well, let's stay with that for a second on the entrepreneurial bent. So, this is some low-lying fruit, but who gave you permission to go do this, right? You just sort of had the notion that
I just did it, yeah.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Kathy Judd, who is the director of the Washington Conservatory of Music, she was all for it because their charter, in their educational charter, is, providing community opportunities for music, for making music. So she was behind it 120%. I was completely floored. So I was really excited that she would go for it. So it's been great.
So what's the first? So I think a lot of people get stuck at the idea point and they don't take the first step. So what?
Yes.
What do I do? I have this idea. I want to do this thing. So I want to have this horn club. So what's the next thing that you do after you have this idea?
Well, I mean, I have a couple of, Wendy Chin is a local horn player that was helping me, and Margaret Deichel, both of them are really active freelancers and also in the, just volunteer horn players that make living doing other things. And so they've been very supportive, helping me. And then of course, having the place to rehearse was the biggest thing. Was, where are we going to rehearse? And that's what kind of started it. I said, well, I'm here at there's this great venue at Glen Echo Park. Let's use this space. And again, I had the support of the Washington Conservatory and Kathy Judd. But it was, I'm surprised at how it turned out. But then people were saying, well, can't you do more videos? You should be putting more word out. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, it takes time to do all that stuff. So, but it's been fun. It was fun at the beginning, but now we're into it. Now I'm into it, and I'm, now the work continues with making sure we figure out how to do the music, and I think we have performances. That's not going to be a problem, but the whole logistics and everything, I'm kind of doing that. So, and that's probably not my forte. So I'm learning as I go. But there's a gentleman that's an elderly gentleman. I think he's 83 maybe, that has a huge horn library. And so he is in this group. So he's, offering music. And so that's not a problem. So, and the way I look at it was, one time somebody told me I was going to have a party, and I was really worried about having everything ready for the party, having all the plates and the napkins and make sure the Klaus is clean. And they said, you know what? You just get people there and that's the party. So with the Capitol horns, it's just as long as people want to come and play. I mean, that's it doesn't have to be anything fancy. So
love it.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some pencils. Maybe Capitol horns pencils.
Ooh, you fancy.
Yeah.
Lance, do you still meet with all of the freshmen when they come into Carnegie Mellon?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. See that I love that. Lance meets with every single incoming freshman music major at Carnegie Mellon, and I still remember when he told me that he started doing this a couple of years ago. That he basically gives them permission to pursue whatever it is that they want to pursue, which is of course ridiculous because no one needs Lance's or anyone else's permission, and yet
not mine.
Well, especially, exactly. A euphonium player is best known for quitting a military band. But I'm paraphrasing. We should maybe poll our audience. What is Lance LaDuke most known for?
Yeah, I don't
know.
I'm trying to figure that out.
Quitting the Air Force Band, quitting River City, quitting Boston Brass, quitting River City a second time.
Brass band in Battle Creek.
He didn't bloom. See, he didn't bloom. He didn't bloom where he was planted.
No, but I left plenty of fertilizer.
or option F is this crappy podcast. So I think those are the six. Yeah, everyone weigh in on Twitter or Instagram with what Lance is best known for. So, but I so many of us, especially when we're younger, I think we all operate as if we're waiting for permission, because that's just not something. It's not exactly like you can point to 25 different horn clubs like you have started around the country, and then you can just copy it. And I'm not saying that you're unique necessarily. There might be some others like this, but you just go do it. I mean, just go do it. So I love the fact that you just are starting not fancy and that you're having a blast, and that when you have a blast, then everybody comes back, and then people start to own it, and then they figure out, you suddenly find some guy with a huge horn library who comes and helps to make it better. And boy, I love that. That's a great message.
It'd be nice. I'm hoping, I wanted to keep going. I'm not sure how to, I'd love it to be huge. I'd love it to be like this huge organization. I mean, that would be a lot of fun, but we'll see. I'm not sure how you make it grow, but you just keep doing it. I guess if you stay around long enough and, that people, they will come.
Right.
You need to get some lobbyists down on K Street and just get a couple of earmarks in the next budget go round, which is, I think, slated for December. And, maybe you could get like $500,000 appropriated for your horn.
Yeah, I don't know if we need any money, but
seems like a free for all down there right now.
It's fun. It's fun. So far, it's been fun. So I hope it continues. But that's probably the most exciting thing I've done just off the wall since I got out of the band. I mean, that was just like, where did this come from? We came up with this idea, and then it happened. And it's nice to be able to choose what I want to do. That now I can choose, this is what I want to do. And I thought when I got out of the band, I thought, oh, maybe I should go into computers. Maybe I should try to make money. Maybe I should do something that is not horn related, not music related. And, I'm involved in my church. And I started writing for the Parish Times, doing articles because I like to write. And I tried to teach a little bit. And I'm realizing that I'm not good with deadlines. So, maybe just sticking with what I know is probably the best thing. But I've learned a lot about myself in just the 9 months that I've been out, from what I've tried to do. And yeah.
Like what? What have you learned?
That I don't do deadlines well. that I'm not very organized. Well, I knew that, but that I'm kind of, and I think the best in my car. And, so I've learned a little bit about myself.
Well, there's something to that, right? I mean, have you designed these activities around what you know of your personality? In other words, I know I'm not good at this, so I'm going to find somebody that does that, or I'm not good at this, or I'm going to make it so that that's not an issue, or how do you deal with those things?
I've been trying to do it myself, and I think I do need to do more of the delegating thing. I have a bit of a control problem, that I want to be in control of things, and so I am not conducting this group. So it was like, I can do a lot of things, but I can't conduct. So I'm playing in it, but I'm not conducting. So we have Nick Brown from the Library of Congress, and then the other gentleman that stepped in has been I'm gonna get his name right. Michael,
Colburn.
No.
Tilson Thomas.
Oh, this is horrible. John Stamos? No, John St. Lamore. He's got his name is Lamore. John St.
Louis Lamore?
Yeah, something like that.
Uncle
Very
Jesse
good.
conducts your horn band.
Yeah. That's awful. Anyhow, but like I say, I did delegate that to somebody else. I said, you know what, I can't do that. And actually, Kathy Judd suggested that I need to pass off the music, getting the music organized and everything, that should go to high school kids so they can get,
right.
Right, which I had never thought of, which is amazing.
So delegating is not
delegating. Yes,
not one of your strengths.
Yeah, but it might have to be with this group, because it's going to be, if it continues for 10 years, it's going to be a little overwhelming.
Well, yeah, and don't you think that'll be the key to building the thing, is to let people help you?
Yes, well, yes, that's true. That is true. Yeah, so they can own it, like you say.
Right.
I wanted it to be something where. And again, this is people that are not, professional horn players can play in it if they want, and teachers and such, but it's for people that love the horn and wanted to keep playing. But I also wanted to allow for people that maybe have an interest in conducting to conduct, that people maybe that have an interest in arranging can arrange some pieces. If they want to share a warm up, that they can, again, the ownership thing. And I wanted to share with you too. I pulled out a book, Business Secrets of the Trappist Monks. Are you familiar with this, Andrew?
No, I'm not.
I like their beer.
August Turek, Turak. It's from the Columbia Business School. Okay, it's published by the Columbus Business School. Business Secrets of the Trappist Monks, and it's all about business ethos of how to create a business that where people own the business. So Trappists, monks obviously have an invested interest in their business. So it's the same thing about owning the business. Because I was teaching people that wanted to be Catholic how to be Catholic, and the man that was heading it up had us read this book over the summer because the two people that were in this program, RCIA, were both business people. So it was really good. It's a really good book. Anyhow, but it's not religious. It's not a religious book. It sounds like a religious book, but it's actually about business.
Well, the Trappists are pretty serious. I mean, they're kind of their own little, I don't want to say ecosystem, but I mean, they're a self-sustaining order, I guess, for lack of a better term, and they raise funds for by a variety of means, right?
Right. And they have a mission, and they have a clear-cut mission. Of course, everybody has the same vision that it's for God. So that what everybody is invested in it. They're all on the same page. So how do you do that? So then they talk about the Marine Corps. And I can definitely attest to the Marine Band following this book. I can see the Marine Band in this book, why it's successful. So anyhow, I just thought you'd share that.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm going to check
Not
that
very
out.
funny, though. Yeah. You can borrow it from me.
There you go.
You can borrow it. It's not very big. It's an easy read.
Small words.
Is there a picture?
No pictures, but the man that wrote it. No, but the man that wrote it worked for MTV.
Really?
Yes.
Can't even spell MTV.
Back, like back when they played music videos? Or?
Yeah, do you remember MTV? Yeah, when it first started, obviously. He went on to do other great things, but software. Then he got into software.
There you go.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
I'm from Ohio.
Where?
Fremont, Ohio, which is the birthplace of Rutherford B. Hayes.
Don't say it.
Yes. It used to be exit 6 on the turnpike. I don't know what it is.
Wow.
It's a little bit south of Cedar Point.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, the amusement park. Yeah.
Roller coasters.
Yeah, and I went to a small private school there, and I grew up in a very musical family. Everybody, my mom and dad sang in the choir, amateur singers, but singing was always in the house from my earliest age. Singing in the car, of course, all the old songs that nobody knows anymore, and so I had a big background in singing, and then. Did you want to know this? Am I going into the history?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. No, we'd like to know as little bit as possible about you.
Yeah, actually, you'll be interested in this because I was going to be a low brass player. I started on trombone in 5th grade.
No.
And then, yes, trombone. And then when I found out they had to march, I decided I didn't want to play trombone. So I quit trombone. Yeah, I quit trombone. So then in 8th grade, the band director was desperate. The high school band director was desperate. There were only 11 kids in the high school band. Again, it was a Catholic school, private school. Only 11 kids in the band program. And so in her desperation, she was going around to the 8th grade class and saying, if you want to start an instrument, we have these 3 French horns and we have some clarinets, and it's $15 for the whole year to rent these, whatever you want. And so I didn't really know what the French horn was. I knew it was different. And by that,
you got that right.
Yeah. So by that time I was already different. And so I picked the different instrument and I just blossomed with it. So, and I was the only French horn until about my 2nd year in high school. And then there were 2 other kids that played, but I was definitely a star player and loved it. And the band did grow while I was there. And my band director, Catherine Lewis, who had just graduated from Bowling Green State University, which is 40 minutes away from my hometown, didn't know what to do with me finally at my junior year. And so she actually drove me. She took me to Bowling Green so I could meet Herb Spencer, who ended up being my teacher at Bowling Green, because, of course, I couldn't go anywhere else after I met him, and who was my mentor and the reason why I actually got as good as I was and able to get in the Marine Band and become a professional musician, because I had I just wanted to keep playing the horn. So when I graduated and I went to Bowling Green, I just went as a music ed major, because I just wanted to keep playing the horn. And I wasn't good enough to be a performer and had no aspirations to play in a symphony or anything like that. Just wanted to keep playing the horn. And
was Mark Kelly your band director?
Yes, Mark Kelly was my band director. Yes, and we actually had a little bit of an out because, how do you know Mark Kelly?
Well, the band world.
From band things, yeah. He was wonderful. But I learned so much from playing in his band, in the top band there. But I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that the band got like 5 rehearsals in the week and the orchestra got 3, and I couldn't understand that because once I got there, I was definitely loved the orchestra. And so I always thought that was crazy that the band was so idolized and everything. So I had a big chip on my shoulder and attitude in the band. And at one point, he came into the classroom one evening. I was practicing in a big classroom, which is another reason why I think I became such a good player. Was I always found an open classroom and played in a big room. I hardly ever played in a practice room. And anyhow, but he came in and he said, you got to get off your high horse. Get off, you're getting too big for your britches. You need to get off your high horse. Anyhow, chewed me down.
See, yeah. Things around here, see?
Yeah.
I'm the bowling over here, bowling green here, see? Because I'm the boss, see? You're just a lowly horn player, see?
But he was right. And I went back once I got in the Marine Band, I went back and I thanked him and I apologized. And but the thing is, here's the thing: just this last year, before I got out of the band, I think it was before I got out of the band. This last summer, I played with the Bowling Green Community Band, and he is now in a nursing home there in Bowling Green. And he's 90. I think he just turned 91 or 92. And I went and visited him at the nursing home. I went with my mom, and he told that story. Like he remembered all the details of why he came in and talked to me and dressed me down.
This whippersnapper up and comer, she was trying to tell me how to run my bands, hey?
But I was mortified because he remembered it after all these years. Why he remembered that incident? I just felt so bad. Yeah, because I don't remember all the details, but other than he yelled at me. Yeah, Mark Kelly. But Herb Spencer, I want to come back to Herb Spencer, who was a wonderful, wonderful teacher, and just basically taught nuts and bolts of how to play the instrument. So here's what you do to be able to play these fast notes. So he had a lot of little tricks. Here's the things to do. Very nuts and bolts. And that's the kind of teacher I am too. I'm not, feel it this way and, imagine it this way. I'm very much, here's the tool. Here's your tool chest. Here's the tools that you use to get this result, to fix this. So anyhow, he was a wonderful teacher. So I decided, here's the story of how I got in the Marine Band. You want to hear this story? Do we have time? Are we running out of time?
No, fine. We're good.
How come you guys aren't saying anything funny? I listened to Joanna's thing and you guys were laughing, making jokes the whole time.
See, you guys got to be funny. See? None of this sitting on a log, see? You got to get in there, mix it up, get a little moxie, see? Yeah.
It was only 2 minutes ago that Lance went all full jackass impersonating your former band director who just yelled at you again from a nursing home. I'd say we're not keeping it too serious.
Yeah.
So
anyhow, let me talk about me now.
Yeah, good.
Why don't you talk about me?
Yeah. So anyhow, I was an ed major, right? Music ed major. And I had no aspirations to be a teacher either. I just wanted to play the horn. I grew up in this small town, hadn't really been anywhere. And for your student teaching, you had to have a car. So my dad bought me this wonderful, Citation. This awful Chevy Citation. It had a hatchback. Okay, it's a great big car.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, well, they don't make them anymore. But it was kind of a pea green color. But I had never been anywhere.
Nice.
And that summer, they were having a Marine Band audition, and I didn't know anything about the Marine Band. My teacher had been in the Coast Guard Band, in the Premier Band, and so I knew that there were military bands. But it was like, you know what? I want to go to Washington D.C. and I'll use this as an excuse to take a road trip. And my mother, who is very much a worrying sort, I couldn't tell her. So I did not tell her that I was going to drive to Washington, D.C. by myself in this car. And the only person I told was Herb. And I practiced really hard. And May 26th was the audition. And I drove down to D.C. and I was wearing a dress that my mother had made for me. And I warmed up. I found an empty room at the University of Maryland. And I thought I saw a sign, the Hornbake Library. And I said, this is a sign from God. The library is called Hornbake at College Park. If you didn't know that. Did you know that? The library is called Hornbake Library. Yeah, so I practiced there, and on Sunday afternoon in an empty classroom, I warmed up stuff. And the next day, I found my way into the district, even though 295 doesn't go that way. And the Gladys Spellman Parkway, I had no idea was also called the Baltimore Parkway, right? Did you know it was called the Gladys Spellman Parkway on a map at the time?
I sure didn't.
Yeah, so anyhow, so I got horribly lost. I got there at 7 a.m. It's sweltering heat. Oh, I didn't tell you the best part. I camped out in Greenbelt Park. Are you familiar with Greenbelt, Maryland?
Seems smart.
Yeah, Greenbelt Park, in the back of my car. I slept in the back of my car, okay, for this audition. So you can tell how serious I was about it. How green I was, completely clueless, no money. So anyhow, so I showed up for this audition bright and early, and it went down to 3 rounds. And the last round, they came and they told a gentleman from Chicago area, Mike Indicavich, they said, you have won the audition, and we actually have a second opening, and the other 2 are going to have this playoff. So we had to play a 3rd round, this gentleman and I. And I think only because I had been playing so much in college and playing all that summer and in all kinds of ensembles and stuff in school, and all I did was play the horn, that I won the audition for that second spot.
Wow.
So so I showed up. So that's the other thing that I tell people, that you have to show up. You can sit there and kind of second guess yourself. Oh, I'm not ready, or I'm not gonna. You have to show up. If you never show up, I had a wonderful career because I showed up. It was all serendipity. Wow. It was all just chance. I can't believe it. I still pinch myself. Oh my gosh.
Slept in your car.
Slept in my car, yeah. And then here's the other thing. They for the military bands, you have to have a weight requirement, right? You have to have a certain weight, and they weigh you. So once you make the finals, they have a scale there, and they weigh you. And the gentleman that was weighing me, whose name I will keep secret, who's still in the Washington area and still freelances, fudged my weight so that I could continue on.
Don't say it.
Yes, he fudged my weight.
No kidding.
I wasn't that much over, but enough that, yeah.
Wow.
So it was a lot of chance that, that I made it in.
I did pull up the Chevy Citation in Google Images.
The car right there.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, it was a great car.
What color did you say it was?
Pea green.
It was like this green. Yeah, it was a green.
Yeah, I'm not.
Maybe it was gold. It could have been gold. Yeah. I had a great big hatchback, and I laid sideways in it, and it was really hot. I just remember it was really hot.
In DC, that's weird.
And then on the drive home, of course, the first person I called was Herb to let him know, and he's like, "Stay in for 4 years and then get out. Just do 4 years and get out. You don't want to stay in. You want to go to grad school. It's just don't stay in. Because that was his experience at the military bands, as you know, Lance.
That's called the Lance LaDuke special.
Yeah. Don't stay. You'll be ruined if you stay. And then I drove home, and I don't know if you're familiar with the big hill that goes to the not Harper's Ferry. What's as you're going to Ohio, there's a giant hill.
Actually, Lance I got a ticket there when he and I were together once on Boston Brass Tour. Right. So yeah. Lance remembers that hill.
Hagerstown, going into Hagerstown.
Yes,
Hagerstown. There's a giant hill. I got a ticket there, and the guy let me off, and the car, of course, was littered with water bottles and food wrappers, and I was all sweaty and hadn't taken a shower, and it was all nasty and wearing these homemade clothes.
Hey, when you got in the Marine Band, how many women were in the brass section?
There was another horn player, Cheryl Sager was in, and there were no trumpet players yet. And then Nancy Taylor came in while I was in, so she was the first female. And then Susan Ryder came in after, and of course Jen Murata was in there for a while, and then. I'm trying to think. I'm missing out. Amy McCabe's there now.
Sure. With
Susan. So I think it's just, I want to say that's them. And no low brass. Yeah. 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 So it's a very different band now than it was when I came in regards to how they treat the women, especially families and women. They really bend over back. At least the Marine Band does. I don't know about the other service bands, but the Marine Band definitely bends over backwards to accommodate families and women with children, and it's really very civilized.
And that wasn't always the case, I guess. Yeah.
No, it was not the case. And when they just they didn't understand. It's a bunch of men running it, so they didn't understand.
I don't know. Men running a bunch of stuff now, and everything's going great. So Anyway, moving right along. So, are you familiar with our dear friend Jens Lindemann?
Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah, actually, before we get to your advice for Jens, why don't you tell us the story about when you ran into Jens on tour?
So my last year in the band, I actually was. They asked me to be a soloist. It was like, thanks a lot. My last year in the band, so I was a soloist, and I got my own room finally. After that, so I had to go, of course. But we were,
kind of like when somebody tells you that they're gonna, you tell somebody you're gonna break up with them, and then like for a week they just treat you like gold.
Yes,
there you go.
it was just the strangest thing. It was really wonderful, and I was really thankful. I'm just grateful. I mean, I could be bitter about it, but what is it? Bloom where you're planted. I'm very grateful for everything. So, no, but we were somewhere, and I wish I could remember where. But we were in this wonderful hotel, and it was somewhere warm because it was the South tour in Florida. And I think it was Georgia. And I was coming back from dinner, and there was a tall gentleman, good-looking guy with a big belt buckle on. I think he had big cowboy boots or something, coming towards me. Good-looking guy. I'm checking him out. And I said, that looks like the trumpet player. And he played with the Washington Symphonic Brass. And, I know who he is from his little ads that he has on YouTube. that are kind of cute.
Basic cable.
Yeah. I'm trying to get
whatever it is.
The belt buckle.
Yeah, so and I went up to him, and I was afraid to call him by his name because I couldn't remember if it was Jens or Jens. So I was like, are you like the trumpet player? Are you like the famous trumpet player? And he was like, well, yes, I am.
Yes, I am. I can see that.
But anyhow, but it was him, and he was there. He was doing a master class. I'm pretty sure it was Georgia. He was doing a master class that night, but he was going to get together with the trumpet players from the Marine Band. But I thought it was really funny that it was like, oh my gosh, what's he doing here? And but I couldn't remember how do you pronounce his name? I felt bad. I'm really, really bad at that.
Doc Severinsen calls him Genzy, so you can always do that. So speaking of big belt buckles.
So wait a second. So is it Jens or Jens?
Yeah, we still don't know.
It's definitely one of those.
So as I'm sure you're aware, our dear friend Jens has been going through some chop problems lately. So can you offer him maybe some, a phrase like plant where you're blooming or whatever it is, for him to help him with his
your bloomers
in this time of need?
Well, I just want to know, is it J or Y? Is it J or Y? That's all I want to know, because I think to be able to be open about that and to be able to share it with people would really be helpful if people want to help him. But if they don't know how to pronounce his name, it's hard to approach him. I was hesitant because I was embarrassed that I didn't know how to say his name.
Well, he's German, but he's from Canada, but he lives in America. He's confused about a lot of stuff. He's not having chop problems. He jumps into the pools playing trumpet and everything. He's amazing. I've seen those videos too. All right, so you just want him to be more clear on the spelling of his name.
Not the spelling, the pronunciation.
So
Lance, if it's Y, it needs to be Y. If it's J, then
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe it needs to be TCH. Chens.
It's like Tchaikovsky.
TCHENS.
Chens. That's pretty fun right there.
But I think it's Yindeman, actually.
There was
Yindeman.
I think there should be more brass players like him.
Really?
Just the superficial way, because I think he's very funny. I think he's very funny.
Oh, one night when we were somewhere near Detroit, and there was like the place was packed. It's like 1,500 people sell out for a Christmas show, And we are encoring with Motown Jingle Bells, which is this brilliant arrangement that Sam Palafian did that features like 9 different Motown tunes, or is it like 11 different Motown melodies? And it's awesome. It's this like rock Motown beat. And Jens gets on the mic and introduces this. And you never really knew what was going to come out of his mouth. And yet we kept on telling him we would hire him, and then we would tell him to talk into a mic. So that isn't us. But this night in particular, he all of a sudden just very slowly morphed from his normal voice into a preacher. And
oh my gosh,
he had a wireless mic, which was a problem. We could have seen this coming. And he then started sprinting up and down the aisle of this. I mean, all the way to the back, like screaming and blessing people. And
they got the tambourine player, and
yes,
there was like
got the tambourine player out front to do like a tambourine solo, and he was like rocking out and testifying, and it was
unforgettable.
And I'm walking a bass line. I can't laugh. I'm walking a bass line. There is no rest from the first note till 5.5 minutes later. That was that left a mark. So
I admire that. You talk, people like that, Tom Holtz. I mean, people that are funny like that. I admire that.
Tom Holtz. That name's not ringing a bell.
Yeah, they're amazing. Pat Sheridan. They're just funny.
Oh,
Naturally
Tom's the Helicon dude. Now I remember.
Family show.
Yeah. Sorry, we're gonna have to have Joey bleep out Helicon. Well, Lance, is there anything else before
I can't think of a thing.
Almost let Amy go. We're going to have her hang on and do a quick couple of more follow-up questions for our Patreon-only episode. But Amy, is there anything that you are just going to cry yourself to sleep if we don't cover before we let you go?
Have I done enough advertisement for everything?
Hardly. I think so.
No, perfect.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
That was
you
great.
mentioned my other podcast, so that's all I care about.
Oh, yeah.
And we mentioned that Lance is a freshman advisor at Carnegie Mellon, which nobody cares about. But
you ever heard of Parker Mouthpieces?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Or Duquesne.
Did I mention I'm a horn player? Maybe. Did you say that I was a horn player? Okay, just want to make sure. Yeah. I don't want to be like,
It's implied in the name.
She sits in Glen Echo Park every single day, just waiting for someone to pull up and say, "Hey, I need a horn player.
Can I ride the carousel?
Play me about."
I'm working on Heldenleben.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Amy. This has been wonderful. Andy. Yeah, of course. And that is going to do it for another episode of The Brass Junkies. You've been listening to The Brass Junkies on the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network. If you would like to help support the podcast in order to make more episodes like this one possible, please visit pedalnotemedia.com/donate for more details. Also, be sure to check out our latest recording, The Brass Recording Project, at brassrecordingproject.com. The Brass Junkies is produced by Joey Santillo. Executive producers are Andrew Hitz and Lance LaDuke. This has been a presentation of the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network.